Why? Easy. Yeah. You know what I holla? Do you know what I holla? Do you know what I holla? Yeah. You know the itty bitty city by the water that's steady getting taller. Vallejo. You don't understand. You ho. You just don't understand. Check it out though. Sipping martinis, eating scampi and linguine, making blunts disappear. Like I'm Houdini.
Happy birthday, David Copperfield. Big fan of the show. We're going to try to get him on the phone at some point, probably towards the end. But in the meantime, we got comedian and fellow Chaotic Radio host of the podcast and radio show, The Jack of All Nerds.
Yes, that is correct.
Derrick Murray.
Hi, guys. How you
Welcome.
doing? Thank you. Very excited to be here.
Tell us a little bit about your show.
Sure. So the Jack of All Nerds is pretty much exactly what you think it is. We are a show that knows a lot about we know a little about a lot is essentially what we are. So we cover every nerd topic that you can imagine, from movies to comic books to games to whatever.
What's one of the nerdiest thing you think you guys have covered?
God.
Or dived into or talked about?
We talked about a lot of stuff. We had we had a guy on the show. We had a guest who wrote a book about apocalyptic movies. Did a whole it's an entire book of the history of movies that are strictly about apocalypse, post-apocalyptic stuff. So it's just a whole book about you can't really get more nerdy than that. That's pretty hardcore.
How'd you guys find this guy?
He found us, actually.
They have a new name for that whole genre. It's dystopian.
Yes, that's what it is.
Dystopian thrillers. So the whole Hunger Games and everything.
Yeah,
it's a dystopian movie.
Yeah, and he literally wrote an entire book. He has 2 volumes now, apparently. But he did an entire...
So he has a book about all these movies and stories.
It's basically like an encyclopedia. Right. If you were oh my God, I love movies where the world ends and people have to survive. I would love a book that tells me every single movie that's ever existed about that topic. And this guy's here's an encyclopedia of post-apocalyptic movies. That's essentially what he is.
Yeah. Truth be told, they're all the same. They just have different costumes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
But then he gives his own rating in the book. That's the thing, is he rates the films based on how he feels about them and how they live up to the genre. It's very complicated, but that's about as nerdy as we've gotten. That's pretty nerdy, I feel like.
That's no. I like that. That guy probably grew up somewhere crazy, where he's paranoid, Nevada in the 50s. You know
he was a weird individual, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if he listens to this show. He probably doesn't, so whatever.
What is your show? Have you guys ever dived into anything about aliens?
We've never gotten into aliens, actually.
Do you do that on your Moons Over My Hammy show?
We do not, sir. No,
Sir. You do it on your Cineblokes show.
We don't do it in our British counterpart show either. Yeah, because the Jack of All Nerds, we have more than just one show. So we have the live show on Chaotic Radio on Sunday nights, and then we have our Cineblokes, where our British counterparts watch movies and then review them. And then we have a Moons Over My podcast, where we eat a horrible, lovely meal at Denny's, and then podcast about current events. So we have a lot of stuff that we do.
What do you order? What's your horrible meal?
Dude, I've had almost everything on the Denny's menu. Denny's is one of those things where you think it's a really fucking great idea until about an hour after you get home, and then you immediately regret it.
Yeah,
you guys record that at Denny's?
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah. I've listened to it, and you sit there and you can hear waitresses and forks falling and ketchup.
Oh, yeah. No, for
squirting.
sure. We've actually had instances where the waitress or waiter will come up and just try to talk to us in the middle of the podcast, and then my co-host Mike has to go back and edit this whole 5-minute section of her asking about how a microphone works. It's very odd.
How long do you try to make it for, or do you just do a conversation?
It's pretty conversational. We usually try to keep it around 30 minutes. We don't try to go beyond that.
This is one of the hardest working guys in podcasting, I got to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot. And I got to give credit where credit is due because I just show up. My co-host, Michael Maxwell, he does all the editing. He also does another show called The Comic Wrap Up, where he actually goes to a comic book store and then talks about all the shit that they're going to release on that week. And like that guy does so much. It's incredible. I'm very blessed to be a part of that show.
How far has he gone doing that?
Pretty far. I mean, Four Color Fantasies is one of our sponsors. So like they're one of the reasons we're on the radio. But then we get to do all of their like events. So, they'll do private screenings for like all the movies that get released. So Avengers, any comic book movie that gets released, they do like a private screening, and we get to be the pre-show entertainment.
Really?
So we get invited down to like just podcast and do giveaways and like hang out with everybody. So it's really cool. It's a really cool thing to be a part of.
Our show kind of lives the same life. We got VIP passes to the Human Centipede 3 final sequence. So we're we're doing big things.
Look, dude, you're right there.
We're helping each other out.
You're right there. I feel it. That's strong. That's really strong.
If you didn't know, that's the live action stage interpretation of the Human Centipede.
Is John in that? Is he?
Stage director.
He's the middle, right?
So do you like having hosts?
Do I like having
co-hosts? I'm sorry, because I used to have 2.
Oh, did you really?
I did. But unfortunately, they're both dead.
Well, one got AIDS.
One died of AIDS. He died of AIDS.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was engaged too.
You should probably work on picking your co-host better. I feel like
he's a really funny guy, and I just wanted to bounce jokes off him and premises and get his ideas and associations, because he doesn't do comedy. He's a working guy, but he's hilarious. But he died of AIDS.
Well, that's a horrible thing.
You know, the problem was one of your main sponsors is a prostitute.
Yeah.
And she had AIDS, but she keeps it under control. And he was tasting the company meat, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, he was our direct link to her. Her name.
Oh, okay.
There's Fat Tuesdays, the bar, and that's her name is Tuesday, and she's fat. She's just Fat Tuesday. And she sponsors the show.
Yeah. Fuck
those
yeah.
funds really haven't been coming in, but thank God we have our friend David Copper. Have we got D-Cop on the phone yet, my boy?
Not yet.
Okay. No, D-Cop is helping sponsor the show right now.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a broad spectrum of people. We're like, yo, we got Fat Tuesday and D-Cop, homie. Like, that's really...
Well, and my other host, he was Ukrainian.
Okay.
He was, and
he wanted to... Like, he's not Ukrainian anymore?
Well listen.
Okay.
Be respectful, Derek, please.
Look, he didn't tell me that he was dead. He just started with, like, he used to be Ukrainian.
It hasn't
like,
been
you
that
can
long.
just change that shit.
It hasn't been that long. It's only been like
his body hasn't technically been found.
Jesus Christ.
But
I'm blaming you, Tom. I feel like this is your fault.
I'll take the blame. He was going to fight for Ukraine against Russia.
Okay.
So he's going to go join the front lines, and I was upset that he left the show. He stabbed me in the back, just like my other friend who died. It's a betrayal if you leave the show. I don't care if you die or if you leave. He left the show, so I notified the KGB, and they picked him up at Heathrow in London.
Can I ask, how in the fuck are you finding your co-hosts?
Well, I mean, he's gone now. He was a guy who was into comedy and doing comedy and just starting out, but he thought that fighting for his country was a more noble cause. And I love Rocky IV. I always root for the bad guy. So I'll give my boy Putin a call.
I mean, it's cool. Yeah, represent your country, man, and your culture and shit. That's cool.
Do you have
Can we cuss on this show? I'm sorry. I did it like 6 times before I even asked. But I had a lot of whiskey before I came.
No, it's okay. You can say stripper, twat, everything.
Okay, cool. I actually really like working with Mike, because Mike and I actually started the show together. So he came to me with the idea, and it's really more. He does more work than I do, so I can't even act like I do a bunch of shit on the show. I really don't. I'm the co-host. So if anybody's expendable, it's me. But we started the show together. So before we even were like found by Chaotic and were able to be on the radio at Chaotic Radio. Like, he and I were already doing the show together. So that relationship was already built. So it wasn't like somebody created the show and then we brought on some random person. Like, this has been something that we've done before, and then we happened to get on Chaotic Radio, and now we work together on Chaotic Radio.
That's awesome. And it's awesome working here.
Yeah, no, this live show, like, we've been able to do stuff on this live show that we would never be able to do if we were trying to do it from my apartment.
Yeah. Big shout out to Chaotic Radio, for all the people listening live right now and listen on the website. I never give them a plug, so, but I'm always happy to talk about them. And, Chaotic is really how I kind of got into comedy, because Stoner Rob had a show.
Oh, okay.
And his producer found my Twitter. And when I was living up in Seattle, I was like, hey, if you ever want to do comedy or come on our show, let us know. And then before I ever even did stand-up, I came on Stoner Rob's show just as a guest.
Oh, shit.
And was like talking comedy with him.
Yeah.
And then he was like, hey, do you want to open for me? And I was like, yeah. And that was my first show. And then I met Lana and Ralphie, and then Bruce, and I met Zach, and then I met you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
nice,
so
dude. That's cool.
I went all the way out there to all the way back.
It's a total rags to fake it or you make till you make it story.
yeah. And I'm back.
That's funny.
And I'm back here. But no, that's how I got into the game. So I love Chaotic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even though I don't think they love me back, you know what I mean? It's we were in hot water with a lot of people. We used to be sponsored by this dogfighting racket, pretty much. They fight Chihuahuas.
What in the... No, stop.
This guy is like the Michael Vick of Chihuahua dogfighting.
No, there's no way that should exist for real.
There's no international outcry for saving Chihuahuas.
There's not.
Nobody cares.
There's not, and I gotta tell you.
He used to say Mexican people they're over Chihuahuas, so it's like a big racket right now.
I have to tell you that I feel like I need to know where this can be found.
Oh, yeah. And we would always try to get him to say when he calls in, he's in prison. He calls in sometimes from prison. This guy, he changed his name. His name's Jeeper.
What kind of show did you just bring me on right now?
I mean, it's a dirty show.
Check your wallet.
Right? It's not even like a dirty show.
And
it's
David
like
Copperfield, D-Cop, he introduced us to these guys in Vegas, these dirty guys in Vegas, who sponsored the first 2 months of the show.
I've never, ever experienced anything where it's like, hey, we used to be sponsored by a guy that fights Chihuahuas, but we thought that was a little too intense. So we decided to default to a stripper who goes by Fat Tuesday.
She's a prostitute.
In prostitute.
Pomona.
I'm sorry. A prostitute in Pomona.
You can find her through our Twitter.
And there's no irony. She's fat and her name is Tuesday.
Exactly.
No irony.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is too real. This is too real to life. I don't know what I joined.
I'm sorry. And if it's gonna affect your reputation.
No, you're fine.
We can give you an alias on this episode.
No. Thug life, man. And then you got D-Cop, all the way on the other end of the spectrum.
D-Cop will fund this thing till the end.
Rocking that Vegas life.
And do we have D-Cop on the line yet?
You know what? I just talked to his people. He should be calling in any moment.
Okay, D-Cop, he's a magician.
I know who D-Cop is.
What? Do you have any thoughts on have you seen
on magic?
No, like Magic comics. Have you performed with any?
I have.
Are they good?
Be honest.
Do they overdress?
We got our answer.
Be honest.
Oh, we got our answer.
There are a couple of people that I think are really good. I don't know if you've ever seen Wacko is really good.
Wacko, okay.
He's actually really funny. Super nice guy. Justin Rivera is pretty funny. You probably know Justin.
Yeah.
Justin's super funny. And he does like comedy magic.
Have you ever performed with a comedy hypnotist?
No. I know one.
Yeah.
But he was kind of like a super dick to me, so fuck him.
Do you think he put you to sleep and you just didn't even know it?
He might have.
Hey, all right, I got to ask you some questions.
Okay.
Because in everything, comics, film, television, my favorite characters are always the bad guys.
Okay.
So tell me some of your favorite bad guys from, it doesn't matter. It can be from, let's start with comics. Who's your favorite bad guy?
My favorite bad guy in comedy?
No, in comics.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was so confused. I was like,
no, I mean,
are there Do we have bad and good?
Yeah.
I was very confused.
Sorry.
Switch gears like super quick.
Well, that's a hard word to use.
No. Okay, so my favorite villains in comics.
Yes, or just give me your top villains. Of
Yeah, for sure.
Film, anything.
Top villains in comics. And this is not just because my friend Mike is, cosplay as him, but the Joker is probably one of the best villains of all time.
What is cosplay? Explain that.
Oh, so cosplay is just costume play. So it's basically like imagine Halloween all year. But instead of like walking down to Party City and buying some cheap bullshit costume, you actually spend the time and like you make your own. So a lot of these people that cosplay, it's just costume play. So they do mashups, they'll do specific characters, they'll do variations, they'll do.
Have you or do you know anyone who's like, what's an interesting one that someone's like fucked in costume?
What?
Wait, I mean, like
people have fucked in costume.
Like, I fucked a Superwoman, or I fucked a. What? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know because that's not really.
I'm sure you've heard a story.
For instance, when me and Tommy were at Kamikaze last year, when we were walking out, we saw somebody dressed like Bane had a My Little Pony bent over, giving it to him in the parking lot, and we were like, "Whoa,
that is amazing! I didn't know that."
What's your strangest?
I wish that I could say that was me because I have cosplayed as Bane before. But no, I did not fuck a My Little Pony. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry to let everybody down. It wasn't me.
So it's like PG there then. I'm thinking it's
it's super PG. But not really though, because I mean it is, but at the same time, I don't know. There's a weird hey, we want to be like super sexual, but we also it's not consent at the same time. There's a weird
if someone's there
boundary.
If there's one character who's there always, who's probably getting pussy, who is it? Which character is it?
Fuck. I mean, I have no idea. There's so many people though, man. I mean, maybe Batman. I don't know how to answer the question. Probably Batman. I mean. He seems like a guy you'd want to fuck. Yeah?
I mean...
Maybe Wolverine. I don't know.
Yeah. As long as Batman didn't have a little Cosby sweater sticking out of his
I know a guy that does a fucking spot on Wolverine. It's...
Like he dresses up as him, has the claws.
The dude is first of all, the dude spends his life being ripped so that he can look like Wolverine.
Really? He has sideburns?
It's the most fucking legit. He does.
Do you call him sideburns?
No, I don't call him sideburns. He does Wolverine. He does Rocky. He's done Terminator before. The dude is yoked out of his goddamn mind.
Does he dress up and go to parties?
I don't think he goes to party. He goes to every con I've ever seen in my life. But he does Rocky 4. Yeah, straight up. He does the American flag shorts, and then he does the whole makeup where it's he got his ass kicked. So he's just got the whole black eye, but he is yoked out of his goddamn mind. It's one of those weird things though, where so we've interviewed him before and he's a super nice guy, but, we've interviewed him before and when you look at him, you're like, dude, you're probably a douchebag. You're the kind of guy that all you want to talk about is your nutrition and your workout plan, and then you're going to ask me if I even lift, bro. But
he just wants to talk Rocky 4?
All he wants to talk about is his nerd that's it. He just wants to talk about his costume. He wants to talk about how he feels about Wolverine. All he wants to talk about is nerd shit. It's the weirdest thing. It's so crazy to think about. There's another dude like that. He does a spot on Gambit. A spot on. His Gambit is... his Gambit's amazing. He does an incredible Gambit. He does a really good Superman. And then he does a pretty good Marty McFly. He doesn't really look like Marty McFly from Back to the Future, but he does a pretty good. He's got
That's
the whole
probably
get
the
up.
best costume I'd
He does a pretty get up. I've actually seen a GIF, not grandma or anything, but I've seen a GIF from Back to the Future 2, a spot on it was one of the best costumes I've ever seen. It was so good. Oh yeah, for sure.
I think That's a good one. Or,
yeah, no, it was really good.
Or the Wilfred dog. I like that one.
I don't know. Have I seen a Wilfred dog? I don't think I have.
That's the best one.
But I feel like somebody should. Somebody should do a Wilfred dog, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know why they haven't.
I've seen it.
I've done Bane. So I have a Bane costume, and then I've also done a mashup of the Riddler and Geordie LaForge from Star Trek: The Next Generation. So I put them both together, and I've done the same. Like it's been like a mashup. That's one of my favorites, actually.
One time I was dressed as like a monk, and we went to this event in Seattle. It was like a Halloween event. We had to like videotape.
Yeah.
And we're meeting up with these girls after at my friend's house in Seattle. And one of the girls came back. She was just like in a dress. She just looked fucked up, and she had like throw up all over. And I was like, "Oh, check it out. She's the Exorcist girl." Right? And then my friends like looked at me. My friends looked at me, right? And I was like, "Do I need to give her the exercise fuck right now?" And I never, I didn't even get closer. But it was
Don't
it was
lie,
funny.
you did. You can say you did.
We could have gone as a couple. That's all I'm saying.
All right, no,
I could have gone
fair.
as the priest. She could have been the girl with the throw up.
It would have been a good. You would have killed at the cons, man. Would have killed at the
Your friends
cons.
should go there because it's at the EMP in Seattle. It's right next to the Space Needle. It's like it's a music museum. And for Halloween, they do this like really expensive event. Like everyone there paid like $250 to get in, and then there's like a winner, and they get like a ton of money.
Oh, nice!
And like
That's
this
legit.
dude was like the really famous like Van Gogh painting, and he was carrying this giant thing in his face. He was just like in it, and he was just like going around all night. And he didn't win, and I'm like, that dude was rocking this the whole night.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like when you start getting into things like cosplay, like the people that like are really into it, like the stuff that they're able to create from scratch is mind blowing. Like it's crazy the stuff that people are able to make.
What's an easy good costume for people to make this year if they have to go to a party? That's a good one.
The best, I would say the easiest thing to do is think of your favorite character in movies, comic books, whatever. Think of your favorite character and then find a way to like make it ghetto so that you don't have. So a great example, and this was like a huge hit, but at Long Beach Comic Con, my friends went as like cholo versions of Star Wars characters. So there was one that was like Han Cholo, and it was like, it's like a super easy costume to make because you just have to be like a cholo and then have something Star Wars on you.
Like a vest.
Yeah, like a vest or something like that. And then like, his wife was like a cholo version of Princess Leia. His kid was like a cholo version of C-3PO. Like it was brilliant. It was so good. But it's a super easy costume to do. So if you just come up with like some kind of set, like if you're not gonna, because the people that do this, I mean, first of all, they're incredibly creative. So they know how to like sew and craft and like work with materials and do that kind of stuff. So if you don't have any idea how to do that and you don't have money to pay someone else to do it, then I would say find something that you absolutely love and then find a way to like do your own little take on it. That's the easiest way to get into it. Or another really good thing, and this is what I did when I first went, I didn't go as anything. When I first showed up, the first con I ever went to, I didn't go in costume. It was just me. But when you do that, you get to see all of the different ideas that people have and how people take their favorite characters and portray them. Because that's really all it is.
Second one you went to, what'd you dress as?
Second one I went to, I dressed as Bane. That was the second con I went to. That was the first.
How much did that costume cost? If you don't mind me asking.
It didn't cost that much. So my friend was one of my friends is like a crafter. She's just brilliant. Like she's a really good artist. So she created the mask before people started creating, like before the Dark Knight Returns or the Dark Knight Rises ever came out. She actually just made a Bane mask. So I already had the Bane mask, and all I had to do was like buy the vest. And then the vest cost like $70, and then I had to buy army pants and boots. I bought a couple pads, and then I bought like some cheap so all in all, it was like $100.
Oh, back to my earlier question. Who's one of your favorite bad guys? Would you say Bane?
Bane is one of my favorites. Not necessarily in Dark Knight Rises, but like Joker is probably one of my favorites.
The Joker?
Yeah, but Mike does the Joker, so I can't ever do that.
Do you know Superman's my favorite fucking bad guy? I hate that guy.
He's your favorite villain.
Flying around with his red eyes and he can fly and shit.
Because he's a goddamn alien.
Since you do stand-up comedy, and
yes.
Congratulations, you got into the Idaho?
Idaho Laugh Festival.
Dude, congrats, man. When is that?
Thanks, man. That's in January. I did it their very first year, so the first year they ever had it, and then I missed last year, and then I resubmitted for this year, and I got in. Super fun festival. Just Boise's like such a cool downtown.
A lot of Mexicans? Surprisingly?
No.
Only during harvest season.
I think it was me and my fellow comic Sean, and we made up the entire 1.5 black population in all of Boise. Yeah. That dude showed up to the airport and he was like, nope, this is not comfortable. Yeah, it's pretty white.
Everyone I've played soccer with from Idaho is Mexican. I don't know.
It's pretty white.
I'm sure that you got to know your crowd.
Yeah, no, but out there, like I had so much fun. It was so much fun, so I'm super excited to return.
Congrats.
Thanks, man.
So who's one of your favorite villains in wrestling from from all time?
Favorite villain of all time? I mean,
or bad guy, or
if we're gonna talk like true villain, like through and through, like never went face ever, never went face, then Vince McMahon has to be one of the best villains of all time.
Right.
Like that guy has managed to be the most prominent heel for like 20 years. As soon as that guy got from behind the desk and just started showing up, there's nobody you've ever hated more in all of wrestling.
I'm sorry, he's my favorite all time.
He's fantastic.
And then Stone Cold, and then The Rock.
But Stone Cold and The Rock, Val Venus, get the fuck out of here.
Ken Shamrock.
Val Venus.
And then Steve Blackman and his kendo stick.
Dude, okay, so can I just share a short story?
Yeah.
My favorite part about Ken Shamrock and what's his name? Ken Blackman or whatever it is?
Yeah, Steve Blackman.
With
the kendo sticks.
My favorite part about that, the whole thing. That
was a good rivalry.
He is one of the worst, like, WWF actors of all time. Because if you've ever watched him when he is fighting... He's fighting against somebody, but then like it's when he had the whole thing with like Stephanie McMahon before her and Triple H got together, and there's a point on an actual pay-per-view, like you fucking paid for this, and there's a point where you watch it and he doesn't mouth, says out loud, "Slap me," and then she like slaps him, and like because he doesn't know how to like hide the messages. Because
how much was pay-per-view back in the day?
Oh my god, it was what?
Did you have a bunch of people over to chip in?
No, I never paid for it, dude. That was back when you had
house.
No, you had like the Squiggly channel or whatever. And, like,
you'd watch it like that.
Yeah, I had a black box also. Yeah, dude, for sure.
We'd all chip in and go to my friend's house.
No, dude, it was like WWF pay-per-view events and then porn.
Hey,
like we just switch back and forth.
How dare you attack Ken Shamrock? I put him in my top 5. He's an American hero. He has 2 Purple Hearts for fighting in China.
Nope.
I don't know if that's true, but we're going to look into those Purple Hearts.
Not true at all. Not true at all.
Wait, so who's one of your favorite villains besides Vince McMahon? What other bad guys you like?
Like in wrestling?
Or
just
or in anything. Who else? Who else do you like?
Like Obama?
Obama is one of the greatest villains of all time because he didn't really even do anything. And the term fucking Obama, like I can literally blame him for everything in life. So yeah, I think he might be one of the greatest villains. I can literally just be stuck in traffic and be like, fucking Obama. And everyone be like, yeah, man, I know. I get it. He screwed up the 15. I understand. Like,
and then some gay guy behind you in a jet is like, shut up.
Yeah.
With a ring on his finger.
What's funny is I don't even hate Obama. I just know that I can use it as a verb.
Right.
Fucking Obama.
So do you ever talk about your show while you're doing comedy? Or being a jack of all nerds in your comedy?
You know what? I strangely have like separated them. Eventually I'm sure I'll get into where like they'll both kind of be the same, but they're kind of compartmentalized. I don't do a lot of nerd jokes. in my comedy. So I try to. My stand-up, I try to keep relatable, and I feel like once you start getting into nerd stuff, it like you start to kind of be, I guess, niche,
right?
And you have to be a nerd to get it, and I don't ever want that to be the case.
Well, whether you think the ideas or whatever your premise is, you know what? I think you should talk about it with your friends who are here, who are they're funny. I've listened to your show; it's awesome.
Oh, thanks, man.
The Jack of all nerds, and take your ideas to them and get ideas from them and associations because. Before you know it, your co-host might be dying of AIDS, or in the back of a trunk somewhere in the UK.
I think Mike will die of diabetes and Diet Coke before he dies of anything else.
Well, hey, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, man. I had a blast.
Keep in touch and come back anytime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk to you soon.
Yeah, holla. Do you know that I holla? Do you know what I holla? Yeah, you know the itty bitty city by the water.